Hi, my name is Brandie Paterakis, and I'm the owner of Blue Bee Counseling Services. I'm a mother and wife who is passionate about life and has found joy in helping others improve their mental health. The goal of this podcast is not only to provide enriching entertainment, but to help others in their pathway to have a more fulfilling life. This in no way is a replacement for therapy. Follow us on this journey of mental health awareness. Blue Bee Counseling Services now presents this podcast, Therapist Table Talk. Thanks for joining us at Therapist Table Talk. My name is Brandie Paterakis. I'm the owner of Blue Bee Counseling Services, located in South Jordan, Utah. And today we have something really special. It only took us 4 takes to get here. I am not kidding you. Well, I don't know what it is. It's just one of those days where it's like, and cut, the video isn't recording, or cut, this is not happening. And then something started talking down here, and it was my phone. And so here we are 4 takes later, but we are so excited to have you here with us. And so join us on this wild ride today as we are about to go on.
Buckle up.
Who knows? We don't know what's about to come from this podcast today. Everything is throwing everything around us. So the neighbor might come over.
Yeah. I think we're committed to just plowing through at this point.
Yeah.
So we're just
keep going.
We're gonna just find joy in every moment of this session. Okay, so I have 2 people very special. First of all, I have Sarah. Sarah, please introduce yourself.
Yes, my name is Sarah Tolman, and I am an intern at Blue Bee Counseling. I started my internship earlier this summer. I am in grad school getting a master's degree at Grand Canyon University. That's a master's degree in social work so that I can be a therapist, and it's been amazing.
Yes, we're so excited to have her. I love Sarah. And we also have a really good friend of mine, which is Carrie Johnson. Super excited to have you here. I loved Carrie's story. And so today we're going to share it with all of you, which is awesome. I do have a little bit of a thingamadinger to read to you.
I love thingamadingers.
I love thingamadingers too. And we're going to listen to the thingamadigger. It's going to tell us a little bit more about Carrie. Carrie is an inspirational speaker. Carrie Johnson brings a voice to stages of all sizes as she finds a way to make audience members feel like her message was tailored just for them. Her vulnerable and honest approach will have your group rolling in laughter 1 minute and quiet and deep contemplation in the next. That's actually very true. Yeah. The experiences she shares are promised to leave a lasting impression and influence all ages. Carrie is a survivor of a tragic car accident. Medical professionals called her a miracle. They also attributed her recovery to a positive attitude, ability to find her humor through the darkest of times, and a smile through the pain. Carrie will tell you she is alive simply because God still has a purpose for her and because she reminds herself to be brave several times a day. Oh, I love that. Carrie speaks regularly at crisis intervention team trainings for Salt Lake County Sheriff Department and CIT Metro and other counties in Utah, aiding in the training provided to Utah law enforcement and other first responders in how to more effectively respond to incidents involving mental illness and individuals of crisis. I read that so much better the first time.
Then we got it out.
We got it out.
It's a mouthful.
Again, this is like my second time reading this already. So we're so excited to have you here, Carrie.
Thank you.
I just love Carrie. Carrie is just a breath of fresh air. She's fun. She's exciting. And so hold your horses today. This is going to be super fun as we talk to Carrie about this story of, unfortunately, it is a tragic story. There are multiple layers here and different facets. But I think all of us struggle in one way or another. And so finding that reason or that purpose behind life and recognizing those things that kind of get you through each day when you're really struggling can be such a beautiful moment to have it in Corpus. And I think, we go through life and we think, what does our lives contribute? And when I was looking back at coming forward or going forward in my life, I never thought my life cake would look like this. If I was to choose my life cake, I would choose a really yummy chocolatey inside with chocolatey frosting on the outside, maybe a little bit of raspberry truffle something or other in the middle, some sprinkles, I don't know. But sometimes we don't get to choose our life, cakes that we have to
And I wouldn't even choose cake.
Sometimes, and there's other times you don't even get in the door of the bakery.
And sometimes you're forced to eat cake and you're like,
Oh,
This is not even my dessert of choice. Thank
Look
you
at
so
that.
much.
That's a good analogy.
But I'll eat it, I guess,
Yeah,
if
I like
that's
that.
what's being served.
I was really hoping for a banana pie.
Coconut cream.
Coconut cream pie.
Even ever.
Yeah.
I will eat the wedding cake and you may have your fruit pies. Okay.
Thank
I mean,
you.
I like fruit pies. That's good too, but I do love cake.
Yes, and so the cake analogy, right,
Yeah.
is the fact that we all have these things that are really hard on. And so
Yeah.
what I would love to talk about today, and I discussed this with Carrie a little bit beforehand, is we're joining in on 4 things. There's these 4 really monumental life things, events that happen to you. And in this life event, we found circumstances that brought you to a place of really hard areas of feeling like your boat was just being rocked and you're gonna fall out.
Mhm.
And then the shining sun that kind of comes up in the morning,
Oh, yeah.
and like you finding a way to really hold on to that. And I think that this is so valuable, because how many of our listeners or viewers today, which I'm super excited, if you want to view this, you can view this on YouTube.
Yeah, because we look really pretty. Please tune in.
Take
Tune
4. Take 4. And so, but really recognizing how crazy our lives are and what they throw at us, and then choosing that monumental moment to go one direction or the other.
Right.
And sometimes we head one direction and we're like, I like to
Pivot,
tell my clients that this is like, we start sitting in poo pie and we're like, I am steadfast resolution to sit here and I will not be budged, and I enjoy it. And then like recognizing and sometimes having some sort of somebody or something that comes into your life that says, wait, let's redirect that. Maybe sitting in poo pie isn't the best thing right now, or even fun as I thought it was.
No.
So, and it might not even be fun at all, but I just don't have the desire or the attention span or the energy to get out.
It's like, you know, when you step in mud,
Yes.
what happens to your shoe the further you go down, and if you try to pull, it creates that suction.
Yeah.
Yes, it just pulls you right
Yeah.
back in. We're sitting in a poo pie of quicksand.
Yeah.
And so that is really difficult. So then recognizing that and then going forward and like diverting, is that the word, to the next area and saying, actually, you know what, this isn't providing what I thought it was going to be, so I'm going to take a different approach.
Exactly.
And so here we are.
Here we are.
Let's do this. Let's talk about a few of your...
And I love the poo pie analogy.
We're on the pie and the baked goods
Apparently.
today.
Because that leads perfectly into what I wanted to start with. Because, so I had some really hard situations all throughout my life. My life was never an easy, what is that where you just float along in the...
You're not
A lazy
coasting.
river.
Okay.
So my life was really full of rapids. But I was always quite happy. I was very happy. But I had some real trials. I had surgery when I was 4, almost died from that. I lost a brother to cancer when I was 14 years old. I had an abusive relationship, was diagnosed with PTSD when I was in high school. I had, after I got married and gave birth, I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder, but really it wasn't bipolar disorder. It was, gosh.
This is the part we have to remember all those things because the camera's staring at your face.
Hello,
Yes.
everyone. I have a brain injury, so sometimes it's awesome. It was what happens when you give birth?
Postpartum.
Postpartum, I was going to say post-traumatic. Postpartum psychosis, but they treated it as bipolar and it kind of chased it for 14 years. So, but it wasn't in vain. I learned a lot. I learned how to take care of myself. And I learned empathy. I learned so much. But I was sick for so long. So I had all these trials going on. And then after that 14 years, we lost a foster daughter that we'd had for 7 years. And So anyway, like I said, I had all these trials. I found the sunshine in them. And then the foster daughter. Oh my gosh, when she left, I found the mud bath.
Wow.
And we'll call it poo pie, but it was like a mud bath, and I found it to be quite warm. And like you said,
Yeah.
it was the suction, it was the pulling in, and it was
Pulls you down.
warm, and I just realized that I had dealt with depression. But I wasn't in it, No, this isn't sadness. This isn't, I'm fine. And, but then, it went on for a long time. And I had also had reconstructive shoulder surgery at the same time, like a week before she left. And I could not pull myself out of that mud bath. And I just kept piling the mud on, thinking, this is so comfortable and warm, and
like, I don't like sitting here, and I know I shouldn't be sitting in here.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. But eventually I did not want to leave. And I became more angry and more sad, and it became actually a volatile place. And after about 8 months of that, people would ask me, how are you doing? The few people that really knew, how are you doing? And I'd say, they'd ask about my shoulder, and I'd say, I am so broken. And they'd ask about how I was dealing with our foster daughter, and I'd say, I am so broken. I mean, 7 years.
Yeah.
That she was our child. And I would, how are you doing with her being gone? I am so broken. But I was fine. I was smiling. Visually, on the outside, I was Carrie. I'm fine. I'm so broken. And I realized the more angry, the more bitter, the more all those emotions, sadness, I realized it was turning into poo pie. It was not therapy. It was poo pie. And so I realized I needed to change. And then looking back, get that good old hindsight, I realized, I was being taught some lessons. Those lessons of empathy and the ones I learned, and I could have learned to do this and that. I could have been a better mom. I could have been a better wife. I could have been all these things. Instead, I just was like, nope, it's my spa time. It's my me time. Stay away from me. I was like, it's time to get out of this. And I promised myself, I promised God that I was going to prepare for the next big trial. Because we all have these small trials, and then we have these big trials that just keep coming in waves. And I was in the middle of a big trial, but I was like, I'm going to get out of this. I'm going to pull myself out. I'm going to work on myself. I'm going to apply all the tools I've already learned. I'm going to get help, and I'm going to move on. And then when the next big trial comes along, I'm going to be prepared. This is stupid. I've got to get out of this. I'm tired of living here.
I think I want to throw a couple of little thoughts into this really fast, because one thing that I noticed is that immediate response of what sucked you in, right? Those feelings that were super overwhelming, and how easy it was to go after those feelings and allow yourself to sit in it. And then that beautiful moment of awareness, I think. The awareness of wait a second, this isn't how I envisioned my life. I fell for a trap, and I got stuck in it.
Yeah.
And how many times do all of us do that? Even, all of our viewers and listeners here today is there might be people out there right now that are stuck in that trap.
Yeah.
And so the trap of sitting in poo pie and thinking, I don't care because it's nice and warm and cozy in here.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to splice a little bit. Splice. Phone died. Acceptance. We're going to talk about acceptance, and that leads into our family was in a critical car accident, and luckily my husband and my daughter were not injured physically, but I was very, very injured. The entire engine was pushed up onto my lap. and it took an hour to cut me out of the car with the jaws of life, and my injuries were substantial. My entire lower leg was crushed. I had a compound fracture of the femur. That's the strongest bone in your body. My knee was the only thing left in my leg. It was floating. My hip was crushed and had to be rebuilt. Everything in my leg was made out of metal, and I had external fixators. I always have to use that word, write it down because I can't remember, but they're like, it's like rebar to hold your leg together. And then when I had surgeries, so everything was rebuilt out of metal. They couldn't even put, like, you know, when people get hip or knee replacements or things like that, because there wasn't bone or anything to do that. There was just little fragments, and so they'd put screws with the little pieces of bone and hope they would grow back. My ribs, my entire rib cage shifted, and then on my right side, some ribs were crushed, other ribs were broken, but they were able to repair ribs 2 through 7 with titanium, little like Band-Aid, little Band-Aids. Wow. And so I have titanium plates, but they're just small, on ribs 2 through 7. My collarbones, both of them were broken. My back and my neck was broken. An artery was severed. My ulnar artery in my arm. Let's see what else. I had an internal brain injury where my brain bled, and so I have a brain injury that affects my memory every day. Mm-hmm. Some days I can't remember what happened yesterday. So life is very, very different.
It's not the cake that you were expecting to, or
nope.
the coconut cream pie.
It's nothing. There's no dessert that could compensate. No.
That's when you're not in the bakery.
There's no bakery. Yeah. But that's okay. Oh, they nicked my vocal cords. You know, there so many things. So I had to learn to walk and talk again. So.
And that was hard because you're a singer.
And a vocalist, yes.
And an actress. And so being able to do some of those things that you used to love to do in high school or right out of high school, even in your early marriage.
Yeah.
You were fearful.
I was a director and an actress during that time. In fact, I was set to film a commercial the very next day, and I was texting the director of that right as the accident happened. I didn't show up. And the director was mad.
Oh, sorry, director, if you're watching.
They didn't film.
Guess what? Surprise! She was in a car accident.
She understood why I didn't show up and why they couldn't film without me when she heard the news. But yeah.
Good. Oh, that is so sad. I mean, there's just so many facets to this of things that like are layered upon layered of things that just kind of, I mean, it definitely has taken you to a place where you have to rebuild your life.
Yes. So about the acceptance, because I had prepared myself for the next big thing, and I told myself, I'm not going to sit in the mud bath and let myself get sucked in deeper and deeper and deeper. And I'm going to look and say, what do I need to do to prepare myself for the next trial, emotionally, physically, all those things. I'll just read. My sister was help writing. She and my husband wrote on Facebook in a support page to let people know what was going on. And these are her words. I walked in her room, meaning me, and her sleepy eyes lit up. She was the first person, this is after I was brought out of a medically induced coma, and she was the first person that saw me after the doctor talked to me. My husband was with my daughter. She was performing in a Nutcracker. I was determined not to cry, but I couldn't help it. My eyes welled up immediately. I was not prepared for what I saw. She is one sick girl. She is more beat up than I thought. I can't talk because of her tubes, but she is communicating by spelling words in my hand. She has a neck brace on, so she can't move, but she can't move her head, but her eyes smile. Instead of me comforting her, she comforted me. The first word she spelled was purpose. I asked, "Are you saying there's a purpose in this?" She smiled, yes. Then she wrote U, the letter U, the letter R, the word beautiful. Isn't that just like Carrie lifting others up? I also know she's on some powerful drugs because I look like one hot mess. She didn't. She looked so beautiful to me. The next word was unbreakable. That word hit me hard. Her sweet body is so broken. There are long pins sticking out of her. She is bruised and still has blood on her, but she is unbroken.
Wow, that is so beautiful. I find it so fascinating because some of the instances or the events that took place before this, that's one of the words that you used quite a bit, which is broken, right? I'm feeling broken. And navigating through that and that hardship with your daughter, and then coming to this place where you're like, I'm getting out of poop pie, I'm stepping out of the mud bath, as you call it, and I'm gonna like find my purpose, and I'm gonna prepare myself for that next thing, right? And I'm gonna enjoy what I have. I think that there was also some of that there as well, where it's like, I'm gonna enjoy what I can do and what I do have, and recognizing those things in front of us. Sometimes we get so like hyper focused on the thing that's just right here that doesn't really promote or produce anything of any benefit, and sometimes we have to pull it away. It's still the same size,
right?
But we have to pull it away and look at it, and that's where you were at when you got out of that mud bath, right?
Well, and the reason I call it a mud bath instead of poop pie, nobody wants to be in poop pie, but sometimes we don't even realize how much we're enjoying the poop pie.
Yeah,
We don't even realize that we're like, no, I like it here.
yeah.
Well, realistically,
We don't like it there.
Right.
But why are we staying there?
Well, if you think about it in terms of like quicksand, which
Yes.
also can be muddy
Yes.
consistency. So if anybody knows about a quicksand pit,
It sucks you.
when you step in, it sucks you. Now, let's say that you're there and you have that realization, I don't want to be here. I want to get out of this as fast as possible. Like what you did in the first instance with your daughter, like, I am not having this, everything's fine, I'm out of here. Yeah, it sucks you down further and faster. And the reality is, as you talk about acceptance with this situation in the car crash, when you get in that quicksand, if you stop and have the acceptance, this is where I am, I know two things. I can't get out of here by sheer wishing that I didn't have to deal with it anymore.
Exactly.
I can't just say, oh, I'm done. I'm not staying in this quicksand. I'm out.
Exactly.
You're not going to get out of there that way. And then you accept, I'm not going to get out of here by myself.
By myself.
So once you have those acceptances, that radical acceptance.
Or even with my perspective that I have right now.
Right.
Yes.
The viewpoint that I'm looking at, or how I'm noticing the world around me.
It has
And
to
it
change.
doesn't help with other people just saying, just choose happy. I'm sorry, I don't like just choose happy.
Yeah.
It's because, and I use the term ice cream, because if people seriously like say no one's lactose intolerant, let's just say that in this example, if we all had a choice, vanilla or chocolate ice cream, we all know what we choose. What would you choose?
I would pick chocolate.
And what would you choose?
Definitely chocolate.
Okay. Some people just can't choose.
Right.
It's not that easy when you have a mental illness, when you struggle with anxiety, when you struggle with depression. Just like you said, it's not just, I'm choosing happy. It's not that easy of a choice.
And
go ahead.
No, you go.
So when people are like, just get up and shower, just get up and go to work, it's not that easy. It is this quicksand that sucks you down.
Yeah.
And so, but like you said, when you're like, I am making a change. I need to see a therapist. I need to, it's still so hard.
Right.
But it is when you're like, I am getting out of this bed and I am showering.
Yeah.
And when you start making even those tiniest changes, and it is like, I am changing my mindset and I'm not feeling sorry for myself today.
And if you use this quicksand analogy, it does take standing still. You stop and you need to be still and inventory where you're at. Oh, this isn't where I want to be and I do want to be somewhere else. But what you said about the ice cream, some people can't, right? Some people can't just make that choice of, oh, I should be picking vanilla, but I can't. I don't know.
Yeah.
Sometimes you shouldn't, because if you don't feel what you're feeling and you do try to just shelve it, what does it do, Brandie? Is it coming back to visit you later?
Yeah.
It
is. You're like, I am. Yeah, you're like, I am lactose intolerant. I'm not picking ice cream.
Right. It's going to come back. So if you don't allow yourself to feel what you're feeling in these experiences of trauma and difficulty, you will experience it sooner or later.
Yes.
Decide when you want to deal. Am I dealing with it now? Am I shelving it and dealing with it later?
I like the whole analogy of the sand and being sucked into quicksand. I think that's a very good analogy, because, and then stopping and taking a look and the inventorying around you, because we know at that point we are not getting out by ourselves. We have to find a tool or we have to find somebody, right?
Yes.
Which is a tool. And so if we can stop and take a look, then sometimes that can give us the point where we can say, oh my gosh, there's a vine, or oh my gosh, I'm going to use that, you know, that hand that somebody's outreaching. But if we don't stop, we might not be able to see. And so I love that, because that is exactly what I think we have to do is sometimes in order to get out of poo pie, and sometimes in order for us to like recognize where we're at, we just have to stop and take a look. And then those little tiny pivotal moments, like you said, where it's like, today, all I'm going to do is just have I'm going to insert a positive perspective right here. And that's it. Like in this moment right now, that's all I can do. And maybe I'll reconvene and figure out things for the next moment. And so like that next moment, then I'll decide what I want to do. Like in 5 minutes from now, I'll decide if I want to shower.
And if you were a family member noticing these things of the person who's struggling, praise that so much. Don't say all you did was shower. Say, oh my goodness,
You did.
good job, you did it.
You
Like,
did.
and not like they're a 3-year-old, or you know, oh my goodness, you showered. Don't do that. But you know, it is an amazing. You don't realize what an amazing feat that is. It is. It's when they're really going through something like that, it is such something to praise. It really is.
I think this is a good point to look at, and I want to insert like a little therapeutic intervention in here, which I think is so valuable. One of the things we need to recognize is the fact that sometimes when we look at other people, we look at other people according to our capabilities. And so like for me, sometimes I like to say, okay, like I'm a 10 starburst right now. Like I've got 10 starbursts right now. I am full-fledged. I have energy. I have motivation. I have these things that I can do, and they're all pink and red, right? Starbursts. And I can get up and accomplish the world and accomplish tasks and get things done. And then I look at somebody else and I'm thinking, oh man, like you need to pull yourself together. Because I'm looking at them with their 10 starbursts all being pink and red. And sometimes in that moment, they might only have 3 starbursts. And so we have to be very careful about like judging using our abilities and then pushing them on towards somebody else's and saying, well, you should have the same abilities as me because you're human. And that's not necessarily true.
Yeah. And everybody deals with anxiety, depression, all of those things. And I'm just using those because they're common. More common, I should say. So when everybody deals with them differently. You can't put everybody in a box and just be like, because they don't deal with it like I deal with it, it's wrong.
Yes.
We can't say that. You can't.
Can we also put a different spin on it too? A different spin is sometimes even in my therapy office, I like to draw up like little stick fingers, and I'll say, this is you from the past, and this is you today, and this is you in the future, right?
Beautiful.
And then I'll draw like a little diagram with like this is how much you know right now, and it's like this much in the past,
Beautiful.
and then this is how much you know today, and this is
Right.
how much you're going to know in the future, and you're taking this much that you know today, and you're judging yourself in the past based on what you knew back then. And like, if you would have known it back then, or had this much knowledge back then you would have done those things, and you would have been able to get yourself out of poop pie a lot easier. You would have been able to like navigate, you know, questions or life, or that feelings of feeling broken, or whatever it is that you're going through, but you just didn't have it. And so we have to be really careful not to judge that person from the past either on your capabilities today, because man, we're so much stronger and bigger and better. I mean, wouldn't it be nice if we could do a redo and go back and look at all of it and be like, yes, can I take the knowledge I have today and go back, and what that would change, and how much better we would accomplish the world and the things that we learn. But we don't get to do that, because the things that we learn comes from that.
Yeah, I think everybody loves the golden rule so much, like, you know, to love everyone as you would love yourself.
Yeah.
But so many times we forget about the loving ourselves part.
Yeah.
For sure.
Can I speak to the people who are in the pit, in the same
Yes,
pit?
let's do it.
Because here's the thing, as you're talking about, I think from the perspective of don't judge the people who are there. For the people who are in, don't unfairly judge the people who aren't diving in with you. Because a lot of times when you're there and you see the people who are up and around you, and you know, you're cognizant of the fact that they're not in sinking. And sometimes we can feel very resentful of that. That, well, why, if you love me, why don't you come down here with me? Come in here and save me. Come in here and get me out. And the reality with quicksand is, as soon as you join, you're just stuck there too. And so allowing the people who love you and support you, if you have that support system, to live up here and be available and accessible to you when you're ready to accept help,
Yes.
can be really powerful tools.
I love that.
Yeah, I love that you said when you're ready to accept help.
Yeah.
Because it's just like anything with drugs, with alcohol, with anything, it's you. It's nobody with losing weight, all of those things. We can say all of those things, and you might catch on. You might say, oh, I get that. I see that. Mental health is exactly the same, just like with physical health. You have to be the one to take the step. You can't do it for someone, because you'll go backwards. It needs to be you.
I love
It needs
that.
to be your actions.
We talk a
for
lot
your
about that.
desires.
We talk a lot about, oh, you're carrying your friend's backpack? That's so nice of you.
Yeah.
Like, how long have you been carrying that backpack? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like,
You do understand only your back pain is going to be your back pain.
yeah.
It's not,
Yeah, and the reality is sometimes I even have to tell my clients, like, that's so nice that you think you're carrying their backpack.
Right.
You think you're carrying it, and it's heavy, and it's weighing you down, but they still are carrying their own backpack.
So
Like, you're not taking it from them. Like, sometimes it's better for us to stick out a hand and help lift it up a little bit. But when we think that we're taking their backpack, that's a falsehood. We're not taking their backpack. They're still carrying their backpack. And so how does that navigate and help us, right? I think it's just that awareness of recognizing, like, wow, they're in a really tough spot, or I'm in a tough spot, right? And I don't need to expect other people to help to carry my backpack, but I can be strategic in looking around me and using the abilities of other people that are around me that are willing to help. And if I reach out my hand and I put action to it, not the wishful thinking like you just talked about, which I think is so golden, but first of all, recognizing you have a problem, and I put this on the board, recognizing that you have a problem, and then what's after the awareness and the self-reflection.
You got to step forward.
Yeah, you've got to figure out what's the sacrifice I'm willing to put in to change it. Because if I have to sacrifice something to get out of the situation I'm in. So what is the changes that I'm willing to put forth? And then we start putting in like goal setting. And the difference between goal setting, and we talk about this in our office a lot, so that's why I'm like,
it's
Sarah.
a common theme. The difference between wishes and goals. You can wish something and want something so hard, but until you have clearly delineated tasks and objectives and action items of ways for you to accomplish that thing, it's not a goal until those are in place and you're willing to work to get them.
And then once you hit that goal, then that's where the reward comes. And that kicks you out of this circle thing that we're talking about here, where you have a problem, you recognize the sacrifice or the change that you want to put forth. You actually put forth some goals or some strategies to doing it. And then adding in the action, so it doesn't become wishful thinking, which is what kicks you out into the reward. And then sometimes it kicks you back in because it didn't work. And there's a different problem or something else kind of comes up. And so then we have a different problem that we're kind of going on. But if we can put all those individually, and so that we can feel the reward that's coming from that one thing, even though we might be in one of those circles over here in this thing, then we can celebrate some of our successes that we are doing. And celebration is such a huge thing because it's one of the 3 concepts of self-esteem, which we are going to get to and talk about in another episode about self-esteem. But I want to just dive in really fast. Number 1, we have the fact of celebrating how important it is. There's 3 concepts to self-esteem. Recognizing that there are things to celebrate. The small things, the big things, and being willing to allow yourself to celebrate. And when we're sitting in poop pie or down in our mud bath, we're not going to be able to celebrate. We really struggle to celebrate. But just that moment of celebration, or laying in our bed and we're deciding if we want to go shower or if we don't, but celebrating the fact that we took a moment to have a positive moment or to insert something of gratitude in that moment, like celebrating those tiny, tiny small things and celebrating other people when they do it, right? And then the second concept is that I am human and I make mistakes. We have to recognize we are all human and we all make mistakes and we're not on the same threshold as everybody else. And that other people are human too and they make mistakes. And then the third concept, this is the one that's the kicker. I love this one. It's recognizing your value, that you are valuable and the part that you play in the world. And that's the part that you kind of recognize too in there is I have purpose. And it's phenomenal that in that moment when you were sitting there with your sister and you wrote purpose, in her hand, how valuable you knew that concept in that moment. When you're going through something so hard and you wake up and you know your life is not going to ever be the same it was again. And your body is in pain and it is mangled and family is there. And then you write purpose on her hand. How beautiful that is to say, I'm going to go forward. And then to use that concept of I am unbreakable. Sometimes we just have to say it till we fake it till we make it, right? I'm just going to say it a million times. I'm going to write it on every billboard across America. I'm going to put it on note cards on my windows in my bedroom. I don't feel like I am unbreakable, but I am going to be unbreakable, and that doesn't mean that you can't hurt me. That's not what that means, right? And that wasn't what that meant for you either. It means that you're not going to break my spirit. You're going to allow me to continue on, and I have the ability to hold up to what I feel like my life needs to be. And it's going to look so different.
Yes, and that's what it was for me, is my spirit was unbreakable. I knew my body was severely broken, but my spirit, I was unbreakable.
Yes,
nothing was going to tear me down.
Can we say in that moment that you were no longer sitting in poop pie or in the mud bath?
No.
You were sitting on something else. There was something else, and you were I am steadfast and resolute to sit here and I'm going to give it to the world. It's almost that big, that, what is it called? That inner Carrie that's kick trash Carrie is coming out to be I'm doing this.
100% was. It 100% was.
That Olympian or the gold
I
medalist.
know. I'm imagining you on a pedestal of marble.
And shining lights that are coming down.
You don't even know. I had, when I was in a coma, if they would have had my brain up, up, I can't even talk. Come on, brain, connect. If they would have had me on an MRI the whole time, they would have been what are these brainwaves doing?
Wow.
Because you were busy.
Oh, I had a song going through my head the whole time, and it was just empowering.
What song was that? Can we say that, because maybe somebody else needs a song?
I am not going to say the song because
it's I Like Big Butts. That's my favorite song.
Well, no, I can't even remember the artist, but he's controversial now.
Oh.
But
gotcha.
it was in surround sound, and I knew every lyric. I didn't know the lyrics before. I don't know the lyrics. Definitely don't know the lyrics now. But it's like, if anybody asks you who I am, just stand up tall, look them in the eyes, maybe, and say, I'm that mountain way up high. I'm that.
I know the song. Yeah.
Anyway, so it's, yes, I made it. I'm the world's greatest.
Yeah.
I'm that little ray of hope when my back's against the ropes. Yes, I made it. And it just kept going over and over and over. Like it was, I was being prepared to fight.
Wow.
Carrie.
That is really incredible. And not only that, but like you were being prepared to fight, but you had almost like a pivotal, like a sign in front of you. I can't think of what those are called, where you had like a place to go. You knew, like you set that sign out and it was kind of in the distance and you're like, but I'm heading there. And there's going to be little ones along the way.
Look at her just leading in the right direction.
And those ways, leading in the right direction. That's exactly what it is. And then when you have those little markers that hit, oh my gosh, I can't think of the word.
Like for the road?
Yes.
A directional sign?
Like
yeah.
mile markers?
Mile markers, thank you.
There it is.
So you have mile markers that hit and you just say, okay, this first mile, I'm just going to take it this way. And I just think that's phenomenal. I just can't even express to you, Carrie, how grateful I am that you have come in today. This is like so fun. It's fun like talking to a friend.
So nice.
This is something that like I converse with Carrie on a daily basis, and I think that it's such a beautiful thing for her to come out and share her story to the world. And there are situations where all of us are just struggling. There's moments where we sit in that poop high, but there's also moments where we have made a dead fast resolution to stay there. And if you happen to be one of those people that are dead fast with a set resolution to sit and not to move because it feels all warm and comfy and because you just don't know what to do to get out.
Or you don't even realize until
or you don't realize maybe.
You're recognizing right now, oh, I am quite comfortable here.
Yes, my thought patterns might not be.
There.
I'm falling
been there.
for the trap, yes.
Both hands are up.
This is where I want
As
you
far
just
as
to...
I can actually raise
right.
them.
Exactly.
Oh, that's not very high.
But we want you just to reach out your hand. And if you can take a moment to reach out your hand, then maybe you can take a moment to make a phone call to a friend. Maybe call a therapist. There's a couple of great ones.
And let me tell you, I can't see these therapists because they're my friends, dang it. But they are amazing. I'm recommending Blue Bee Counseling because as friends, I cannot tell you their integrity as people, their compassion and empathy. I as somebody who has been to therapy for most of my adult life, I cannot recommend them enough. They will give you amazing advice. But ethically, I cannot see them. Dang it!
Oh, that is so nice, Carrie.
Dang it!
I know, it's okay. But, or if you're in another state and you can't see us, please reach out to somebody in your state or in your area. Get the help you need. It's just one hand, and hopefully like taking that moment, that meaningful moment, to take it around from wishful thinking to actually action. And if not, then pose just one little thought in there today. You know, start a gratitude journal, insert some motivational music, like do something, because sitting there all alone isn't so great. And so, empathetically speaking, we know that you're all in a situation. We all have them.
Yes.
And so at whatever situation you're in, add in something monumental today. And so thank you so much for joining us here at Therapist Table Talk. We are so excited because we have some great things in the mix at Blue Bee Counseling. If you are a little bit wild and crazy like us, please log on and take a look at our Instagram posts and our Facebook posts. We have some videos that are going to make you laugh. Sarah actually hucks me in the pool. So rude of her.
Sheer nonsense.
She pushed me. It was so awesome. And I landed with my feet in the air. Take one, not take five like today has been.
We just did it. The first time was perfect. It was like I needed that. I needed to throw somebody in the water.
It was
It
beautiful.
was awesome.
I laughed. I laughed.
We love it. So come and join us. Sign on to all of our stuff. Get our newsletters. Check out our website. Look at all of our other podcasts. We're just here to help you in any way that we can. And thanks. We hope you have a wonderful day. Thanks for joining us here at Blue Bee.